Hey y'all, and welcome to Sew Crafty with Connie. Today I wanted to show y'all how to make these cute little fabric wallets. They make great gifts. I had a request for this tutorial, so I wanted to show you what they are all about. They have pockets on each side, and they have slotted pockets where you could put credit cards or what have you. You could put gift cards, business cards, whatever you want in the slots. And then they have a slot for your checkbook, like that. And then you could put your cash on that side, whatever you'd like. You can also add a pin for in the middle and close it up. This one does not have a snap closure. This one does. So here's the one with the snap closure. And then again, here's the slots. You can put credit cards, driver's license, whatever you like in there. And then here's the end for the checkbook. And then this is a good one to put the pin in, because then that way you can just snap it closed like that. Okay. All right. So if you enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. And I would love for you to subscribe to my channel for other sewing and quilting tutorials, as well as crafts and recipes. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have printed out the pattern along with the instructions, and it's the Laura Checklet wallet, and it's by Lizzie Fran. And I will have a link to her pattern in my description. Now, there are several pieces that go with this wallet, and so as I cut them out, I put them together with the pattern pieces so I know which is what. And that way it's easier to keep up with them. And so I have also cut out my interfacing that was required. And you can use, if you want a little stiffer wallet, you can use a little stiffer interfacing. This is pretty much all I had, so it's a little thin, but I would probably recommend a little bit thicker, maybe medium weight. I believe this is featherweight. You can also maybe use a batting interfacing that's not too thick. And so I cut that out, and this is for the slotted pocket, which we're going to do in a minute. So that goes with that. And she also has a checklist that as you cut everything out, you can check off what you have cut out, which makes it easier to keep up with. So it's fairly simple. Once you just read through the instructions, it's really easy, but I'll go ahead and show y'all how to do this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our slotted pocket. Okay, to start off making the slotted pocket for your credit cards or driver's license, you are going to take your slotted pocket piece, which is the very long piece that you cut, and you are going to start at one end, and on the right side of it, you're going to start 3/4 of an inch down from the top, and I'm going to take my ruler and mark it. And then you're going to take your little square here that's going to help you make these folds, and you're just going to place it at the end of your 3/4 inch mark, and then you're going to roll your fabric up until you get to that line that is 3 inches down on your paper, just like that. Now notice that my paper is not bent up or anything like that. It's just simply folded up over it, and this will help make the slotted pockets. Okay, so I'll show you that again. You're going to start 3/4 inch down from the top of the end of your slotted pocket piece. You're going to take your little square here that she gives you to help you with. You're going to place it at the end of that 3/4 inch mark in your ruler. And then you're just going to take the fabric and you're just going to fold it over. And then you're going to match it up with that dark line that's 3 inches down on the piece of paper. Now you want to make sure your fold inside is even, is butted up next to the paper, but you don't want it folded over, if that makes sense. Then after you do that, you're just going to take your iron and you're just going to iron it down, and that'll make a nice fold for the slotted pockets. And then you're going to continue to do that all the way to the end. You're going to want 5 slotted pockets. Okay, so you're going to take it out and then put your paper at the top of the fold that you just made. So this is my first fold that I just made for the slotted, for the pocket, and I'm going to put the paper at the top, even it up with the top. Then I'm going to take my fabric again, and I'm going to fold it over. Careful not to bend the fabric underneath, and then kind of lining up the edges like that. And then I'm going to press again, and that'll make another nice fold slot pocket. Take that out, and there you go. So you can see I have 2 slots right here. And so what's going to happen is that is for, I'm just going to use this as an example, this ruler. So you'll be able to put a credit card, driver's license, gift card, whatever you want in those pockets. Okay, so now we're going to make another one. So do the same thing, take the edge of my paper, put it at the top of the second fold that I made, bring the fabric over, okay, like this. Make sure it's kind of even on the sides, and then make sure your fold is even along the line. Okay, and then you're going to iron it down. And then I have my third fold. Okay, now I'm going to do that 2 more times because it says you want to have 5 slots. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll have 2 more slots. And then once you get done with that, it should match the width of your slotted pocket lining, which is 7 inches long. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have finished all my slots. I have 5. There's 1, do this so you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now it needs to be the same width as your pocket lining, your slotted pocket lining. So here's my pattern for it, and here's my cutout fabric for it. And so now it's a little bit longer. So now all I'm going to do is just trim this off. And it's okay if it's a little longer. You definitely want it to be longer than too short. And so now I have my slotted pockets. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch each top of each fold so they don't come out. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, now I've got my slotted pockets made, and I'm just going to sew the edge of the pockets closed so they don't come open. And you don't want to sew all the way through because you'll close it up. You'll close the hole. So what you want to do is just sew the fold itself. And all I'm going to do, I've already got it nice and pressed, so when you open it up and sew it, since it's so nicely pressed and ironed down, you should be able to go back to that fold easily. So I'm just going to fold each one, sew each one, and so I have opened the bottom, and then I'm going to sew over the top fold like this. Okay. And then now I'm going to do the next one. I'm just going to take that fold I just sewed, fold it down, and then sew the next one. And I'm using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance with this. You can use something thinner if you want. It's up to you. Now I just folded that one down, and I'm going to do the next one. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next one. And then one more. So that should be 5. Okay. So I have gotten that done, and so now I'm just going to fold it back like it was. Fold that back into place. And again, like I said, the ironing creases make it a lot easier to do this. Fold that back into place, fold this back into place, and this one. And then just kind of make sure I've got them evened up. All right. Okay, and there we go. Here's my my slotted pocket back together. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin this in place like this so it doesn't keep coming unfolded. It'll make it a little bit easier to handle. Now if you want, you can baste it on the edges, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so there, I've just pinned it to keep it a little bit, to make it easier to keep it together. Now we're going to attach our pocket lining to our slotted pockets. And the way you do that is, depending on when you open the wallet, if you want your pockets facing right or left, this is how you will put the lining on. The instructions give a little bit more detail about this, but some people are visual learners, so I'll show it to you to help you. Now, so if you want your pockets facing to the right, that's what I choose, then you're going to lay your pocket slotted pocket down, face up, and you're going to have your pockets facing to the left. Now, you're going to take your lining piece, slotted pocket lining piece, and you're going to place it on top, just like this. And then make sure your edges are evened up as best as you can. Okay. And now you're going to sew the top with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, after you do that, you want to make sure that your pockets all got in there. Okay. And it looks like mine did pretty good, just in case you may have an uneven one. And then, okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to fold this over. All the way over like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim my edge right here. As close to the seam as you can get without cutting the seam. And now at this point, you would fold it over. I would fold it over like this. And then you're going to iron it. Go iron it down so it's nice and flat. So I'm going to go do that now. All right, I got my pocket lining folded over, and I've ironed it really good and flat. And so now we're going to sew the edge of this 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, and that's it. And now you have your slotted pockets, and you want them to be the correct size. So go and measure it and make sure it's 3 by 7. Okay, I'm going to go do that now, and then I may have to trim it, but I'm going to make sure that it's a 3 by 7 inches. So now I'm measuring to make sure my slotted pocket is 3 by 7, and I see that it's a little big, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it. So I'm matching up the 3 inches by 7 inches with my ruler here. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess. Okay, now I have the perfect measurement here. Okay, and so now you're finished with your slotted pocket. Now I've got all my pieces here, and we're going to start putting the wallet together. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your main outer piece and you're going to lay it right side up. And you're going to have the 7-inch side will be the top, and the 7.5-inch side will be on the side. So just to make sure I have this correct, so I've got the 7-inch, yes. 7 inches on the top, and my 7.5 inches is on the side. Now you want to take the slotted pocket and put it right side down, matching up the raw edges at the top, just like this. Okay, make sure that it's all even. Now you're going to take the lower pocket and you're going to fold it in half and iron it down. I'm going to go ahead and do that now to make it nice and flat with a good crease. And then you're just going to lay that on the other end, and you're going to line up the edges like this. Okay, and then you're going to take your lining piece for the main piece, and you're going to lay that on top like this. And then you're going to pin all the way around. So I'm going to pin this all the way around, and I will be right back. Okay, I got my pieces all pinned together, and you want to make sure that you pin the top of the pockets on each side just so they don't flap open. And then you're going to start sewing all the way around using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now you're going to leave an opening, and I'm going to leave my opening where the single layer pocket is, the lower pocket is, and not where the slotted pocket is, just because there's less fabric. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Gracie is going to supervise this part. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. You want to start about You're going to need an opening, so I'm going to start close to the edge, probably about 2.5 inches from the edge. And then I'm going to back stitch this part so it's easier whenever I turn it, and it'll all stay closed. Pivot at the corner. I've got it all sewn up, and you want to look around the edges and make sure that you caught everything. Okay, make sure you've got all the edges, and I would definitely check your slotted pocket to make sure you've got all the edges there. Okay, and then next you're just going to clip the corners. And then if you want to trim the edge, you can trim it to make it a little bit neater when you turn it right side out. You can do that. So I'm just going to trim my edges as close to the seam as I can without cutting the thread. Now this is strictly an option that you don't have to do. It's just up to you. I like to do this. So there's not as much. First, one thing, it alleviates the bulkiness. And second, it just helps to sew, helps it when you lay it down. Okay. Now we're going to turn this right side out. And I probably should have left the hole open a little more, but anyway, I'm going to turn this right side out, and I will be okay. I've got it turned right side out, and now I'm going to take my little sushi thing. No, what is this? Shish kebab stick and skewer. I can never remember what these things are called. And I'm going to poke out my corners. Okay. Just to make a nice edge. All right, so I've got my corners poked out. All right, and then I'm going to take it to the iron, and I'm just going to flatten it out and iron the edges down so they're all nice and flat. So let's go ahead and do that now, and I'll see you back here. Okay, now I have my wallet, and I've ironed it flat on both sides, and so now I'm ready to close up the opening, and all you're going to do is just use a 1/4 of an inch stitch all the way around the whole wallet. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, now I'm going to cut my loose threads, and I have made several of these, and I have found that if you don't do the top stitching all the way around, it's okay. The slotted pocket here, it's pretty thick, it's pretty bulky, and so if your machine cannot go through that, then all you have to do is you could just close this one side and back stitch at each end. You can go all the way around the 3 edges and back stitch at that end and just leave this open. It's up to you. If you can't do the back stitch on this part of the slotted pocket, then it's not a big deal if you don't. All right, so now I'm going to take it to my ironing board and fold it in half. See, so here it is, fold it in half. I'm going to iron it again, and next we're going to add the snap closure to it. Okay, if you do not want a snap closure for your wallet, then you are done. Okay, you are finished with that. But if you do, I'm going to show you now how to do a snap closure. Now, I'm doing it a little bit differently from what the instructions showed, but it still works the same way. So what I'm going to do is you take your snap closure fabric that you cut out from the pattern. You're going to fold it wrong sides together, the long sides, wrong sides together, and all you're going to do is just go from one end down the long side and then stitch down one top. That's all you have to do. So just stitch down the long side and then stitch down one top. I'd use about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, something like that. So I'm going to do that now. Be right back. Okay, so again, I just sewed the top edge and then down the long edge. So one side edge, short side, and then sew the long side all the way. And you could use interfacing if you want. I don't, it's up to you. So that's optional. So now we're going to turn it right side out. And here's an easy way to do this with just a little piece of fabric here. Just get your little skewer or whatever you may have and just kind of poke it and bring the ends over the edge. You could use a pencil or pen. Just be careful you don't really mark on the fabric. And there you go, you have your tube. Now I'm gonna iron this real fast and just kind of flatten it down like this. And now we want to use our snap tool. I love this snap tool. So it comes with a little squeezer. I don't know what it's called, but that's what I call it. And then I have the 2 snaps here. And I got this at Hobby Lobby. You can also get it at Amazon. But it came with a gray little poker, look like sharp point that looks kind of like an ice pick but smaller. But I don't know what I did with mine, so I'm just using my seam ripper here, which has a very sharp point. And so all you do is I'd go down about 1/2 an inch or so and poke a hole through your tube that you just made. And then you're going to take the top part of the snap, you're going to poke it through that hole that you just made so the pointy part sticks out. Then you're going to take the male end of the snap and place it on top, the pointy part like that, and then you're just going to put it in between your little squeezer. You're just going to squeeze it, and there you have your snap. Okay, so that's the closure part, and then we're going to put the other snap on the other part when we get through. Now you're going to sandwich it like you did this one. You're going to put it all together. So you're going to lay your main fabric down, and then you're going to lay your snap down in the middle. I'm pretty good about eyeballing, so I'm just going to eyeball it here in the middle. Okay, when you're laying it down, you want to make sure that your snap part, not the back of the snap, but this actual functioning part of the snap, is facing towards you. Okay, and now I'm going to lay again. I'm going to lay my slotted pockets down with the slotted pockets down first. And then I'm going to take my separate pocket and lay it down, matching up the raw edges. And then you're going to take your lining. In this case, it's the same as my regular fabric. Okay. And then I'm going to pin all this in place, and I'm going to pin the pockets down so they don't shift while I'm sewing it. Okay, make sure the edges are matched up. Okay, and like we did with the other one, I'm going to go take this and sew all the way around the edge, and I'm going to leave an opening on the single folded side like we did on the other one. I leave it about 3 inches, 2.5 inches to 3 inches long. So you're going to start about 2.5 inches or so from one corner. You're going to sew all the way down, pivot, go around the side, and go all the way down, all 4 sides, leaving about a 3-inch space opening so you can flip it. So I'm going to go do that now. I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, now I went and sewed it all the way around the edges and turned it right side out. And then on this one, I just sewed the closed end so you can see what I was talking about the other one, in case your machine can't go all the way around. And so it's just left the open on the edge. There's not a top stitch, and so either one I think will work. It doesn't really matter. So okay, now we want to place our snap on the outer side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of match it up with this snap so it'll close, and I'm just going to kind of find where it goes down. If you want, you can kind of put your tip of your pen on that, go down, and then make you a little dot right there. Okay, and then I'm just going to go through the edge, the first part of the wallet, not the pocket part. Okay, if that makes sense. So I'm pushing the pocket down so I can just go in the wallet part. Okay, and then you're going to take your snap pieces, and so here's the back. I'm going to put this inside the pocket first to poke through the hole like that. Okay, and then I'm going to push it through so the dot shows through like that. So if you can see this, I have this inside the pocket, the back part is inside the pocket, and then this part, the actual functioning part, is on top or on the outside of the wallet. Now I'm going to take my tool here and maneuver it to go over that part. And then I'm going to squeeze it in place. And there it is. And then you just take it, fold it over, and snap it in place. And that's it. Okay. And then you just just take it and open it up like that. And that is the wallet with the snap closure and the wallet without the snap closure. Okay. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. And I would love to see your wallets that you made. So if you want to send me a picture, FlemingConnieG@gmail.com, or post them in the comments, that would be great. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a great day.